Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Charlotte. I'm so happy to see you here. As you might have guessed, with all the fans and everything else you're seeing out there, that it's been an exciting week here. So lots of rain, lots of flooding, a lot of it came indoors, but they've done an absolutely amazing job of getting it cleaned up. So we may have more people joining us from Zoom. Welcome. We're glad you're here. And we're very grateful we get to be here today and share this message with you. I'm Reverend Lisa Herklotz. I get to co-minister here with my husband, Reverend Jim Ernstsen, who will be giving the message today. Why don't we begin by reading our message to our mission together? Please join me. Unity of Charlotte is the place where we nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the
practice of unity principles.
Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. Love, grow, and serve. Thank you. Do we have anybody here for the first time? Welcome, welcome. Give her a nice round of welcome. Thank you. You picked a really fun Sunday to be here, but we're so happy to see you. But we're working things out. We've got sound. Thank you so much to our incredible single person tech crew today. Thank you, Fully Jim. We call him Fully Jim. If you have not received it, there's a visitor packet with some information in it. We invite you to take a look at that. Join us afterwards. I heard the hospitality team has electricity and they have coffee and tea afterwards. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. And so join us afterwards for fellowship, and we'd love to meet you personally. And also, we'd love to say hello to everybody here. Now, let's turn in prayer and open up our service. I invite you to sit back, gently close your eyes, and feel your attention move from your head to your heart as we join together in this very precious time of prayer. We call upon the presence of that living, loving Spirit of God, which moves within us, expresses as us, and works through us in our lives and in this world. We claim this power now as we face whatever challenges are showing up in our lives, whatever challenges are showing up in our community, and whatever challenges are showing up in this world. The answer always is to start here and to claim the goodness of God and seek the opportunity as it shows up for us to be the light and expression of that power. We are being called forth, and we claim it and step into it. And so it is. Amen. Please join with me as we say together the unity prayer of oneness. There is one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. We claim and affirm this presence in our lives as love. I'd like to take a moment now to move into the silence, to open it up, to express and speak out loud or to yourself the name of a loved one you may feel is in need of prayer, or any situation you would like to lift in prayer. Please speak that name now if you choose. We know with faith and confidence all these prayers have been heard and are being answered as the Spirit of God lives and moves and works through each and every situation. And so it is. Amen. We'd like you to also know that if you are in need of more prayer, we have formed a prayer team being led by our Reverend Pat Dre over here in the corner. And we have a prayer box here with prayer request forms. And we invite you to take a moment, if you need to write a prayer request out. It will go put it in the box. And it will go out to our prayer team where it will be held in the strictest confidence, and they will pray over it for 30 days. And when they have finished praying over it, they will send it to Silent Unity where it will continue to be held in prayer. That's a lot of power going into these prayer requests. So I invite you to utilize this box. We also have a form online if you'd like to use it. It's on our website and in our newsletter. Also know there's Silent Unity, which is a 24-hour prayer line. You can use that. You can contact them via the app on your phone or call them at 1-800-PRAY-NOW. Now pray. I was so close. 1-800-NOW-PRAY. It might. Well, I'm not sure I want to send anybody there, but okay. All right. I'd like to invite up Mickey and Kay as our daily word readers, please.
La palabra diaria. Llevo el alma de Dios al mundo a través del servicio. No necesito habilidades especiales para servir. Tengo manos dispuestas a un corazón abierto, canales del amor de Dios para ser dirigido a donde más se necesitan.
I bring God's love into the world through service. I don't need special skills to be of service. I have willing hands and an open heart, channels of God's love to be directed wherever they are needed most. This impulse to serve is my compassionate nature seeking expression. I respond to the needs around me by doing what I can to help. I do not think of reward or recognition. Just being of service fills my heart.
Este impulso de servir es mi naturaleza, compasiva en busca de expresión. Respondo a las necesidades que me rodean, haciendo lo que puedo para ayudar. No pienso en la recompensa ni en el reconocimiento. Servir me llena de corazón, el corazón, y es una manera de sentir acerca de Dios. Mi corazón está abierto, mis manos están ocupadas y mi vida tiene sentido cuando hago lo que puedo para alegrar la vida de una persona o para hacer del mundo un lugar mejor. Siento la presencia de Dios al servir y compartir el amor y en el cuidado de la divinidad.
Serving is a wonderful way to feel close to God. My loving heart is open, my hands are busy, and my life feels purposeful when I am doing what I can to brighten one's person's life or to make the world a better place. I feel God's presence strongly as I serve and share the love and care of the divine.
Porque tuve hambre y ustedes me dieron de comer. Tuve sed y me dieron de beber. Fui forastero y me recibieron. Mateo 25:35.
For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Matthew 25-35.
Thank you both. What a beautiful message. And I just want you to know we're here to help you out with that. We want to help you feel that closeness to God. So if any way you want to serve, you come talk to us and we will help find you a place.
So welcome to what I am calling the Great Flood of 2024. And where we sit today with that, as we do our best to go forward easy and breezy. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Today we're going to talk about new beginning. New beginnings. And the last couple of weeks we had some really nice services, some different services, some rituals involved with those. The last few weeks we talked about releasing. That was 2 weeks ago. We did our burning bowl. That was exciting as well, as we nearly burned the church down. But we had fire going. We released. The week after, last week, we created a new name and wrote that on that white stone during that service. Today, we're going to explore the idea of new beginning. New beginning. So you see the progression there. We let go. We started with a new name. And now we fully engage in that movement of a new beginning. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And with the mind toward that new beginning, let's listen to the words of, I'm going to read the words of Henry David Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau, one of my favorite authors, thinkers, metaphysicians as well. He tells us, I learned this, at least, by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the directions of their dreams and endeavors to live a life which they have imagined, they will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Wow, don't you want to be there, huh? Success, and movement, all these great things that Henry David Thoreau talks about. But there's a couple caveats, confidently in that direction. And we're going to talk about all these things. We're also going to use today, we're going to use the Bible story in the Old Testament. In the Hebrew scriptures, we have the story of Moses. We have the story of Moses. We have that story where the Israelites were led out of Egypt, and what that symbolizes in terms of all these things that we're talking about, letting go, moving through a period of void, and then into the promised land as well, or that new beginning. So we're going to use that as our metaphysical approach to this story. And we lost again. The great flood of 2020. Oh, there it goes. There we go. As we move our way through this. We're good. We're absolutely good. So, a new beginning. Should I start over? No, just keep going. Just keep going is what I'm being told. And you know what? I take direction. So we're just going to keep moving forward. So rather than literally on this Old Testament, on this Hebrew scripture story, and what a great story, what a great teaching story this is within the Bible. But we're going to talk about this not literally, because you know that the literal story of Moses and the Red Sea and all those things. It's fun to listen and bring that back up again. But we're going to explore this metaphysical. What does it mean? And if you're unfamiliar with the talking about stories metaphysically, this is taking it in and applying it to our life situation. What does this mean what can it mean? What does the story teach us that we can apply within our own lives? That's what we're going to do here today. We're not just going to regurgitate this story and say it one more time. This story is a way for us to deal with transitions. Moses and the Israelites out of Egypt is a transition, and we're going to see those pieces of that. So when we look from a 30,000 foot level of this story as outlined, it starts with an ending. There's that ending. There's a period of wandering in the middle. There's what the author, and we're going to introduce our author in a second, talks about as being the void, and then the new beginnings. That's the 30,000 foot level to this as well. The ending for Moses and the Israelites was they're leaving Egypt. So that's where we're getting to. That's where we're aiming for. For them, it was moving out of a home that they'd had in Egypt for generations. They were comfortable to a certain degree there. They knew what to expect on a day-to-day basis. But they were heading out into the desert. This was their new beginning. They were crossing the Red Sea. For us, what does the ending look like for us? That quote, the ending. For us, it's a realization that this thing, and we talked about this during the burning bowl ceremony. For us, it's a realization that something in our life is no longer serving us, and we can let it go. We can let it go. It could be relationships. It could be an old habit. It's an old storyline that we've bought into. It could be a way that we think about ourselves. These are all examples of things that we can let go and release. And it's a new beginning once again. Woo! Yay, yay for us. So that burning bowl was that ending piece for us. We identified that thing. We named it. We wrote it down on that little slip of red paper that we had. We burned in that purifying fire that we had here, those candles that we had forward, and we released it and saw it go up in smoke. And we experienced that release. And we saw it. The transition, this middle piece that we're talking about here, at least with Moses as well, that middle piece, that transition was when they were wandering in the desert. How many years were they wandering in the desert? 40 years. You think it was actually 40 years? Probably not. We don't know. It's not historic. 40 years metaphysically is the time it needs for completion. Maybe they were wandering in the desert for 40 hours, 40 days, 40 years. I don't know. But long enough, the story tells us that Moses ended up passing away, transitioning himself, dying, and a new leader guided them into their promised land as well. So this transition is a preparation. Think of it as a preparation for the Israelites for their new home. They were looking for that land of milk and honey, weren't they? They were promised some place that could be theirs, that they could have autonomy. That's what they were looking forward to, this land of milk and honey. But they had to prepare themselves. They couldn't just show up there. That's what the transition, and that's what that void was for them. It was a time of preparation. It was a time of movement towards that something better. For us, that preparation can be things such as prayer, sitting in meditation, opening up to all the possibilities of our lives, all the good that can be ours, listening. We have ears listening to what is possible within our lives. That's the preparation. That's the void for us at times. And again, this story as it applies to us is what's important here today. This showed up last week as our white stone as we listened. Reverend Lisa, in such an awesome way, led us through that meditation where we sat in the silence and listened for what that name was going to be that we were going to write on that stone. We listened, we opened our heart, and then we were able to write that down if we got that. And for me, I wrote that down. It was a 2-word phrase, and I carry it with me in my pocket for a while. Usually for a couple of weeks, I carry that with me to remind me what it is that I've written down. And then I place it in a certain spot in my house, and I see it almost every single day. So today, those were the first two, the endings, the void, the new beginnings. We're going to focus today more on the new beginnings than anything else. And sometimes we think of new beginnings as something external. Something is showing up in my life. This thing is physically replacing that old thing. And that's okay. We can think about new beginnings in terms of physical manifestation in this physical world. But really, really, this is about the internal work that we do. The new beginning as an internal experience. This is what we experience as a shift. This is our new beginning, a shift, or a sense of readiness for something new. It's an inner awakening of a possibility. That's what this new beginning, that's what the first baby step is in this new beginning. And it's also a trust in the flow, a trust that the slide will show up any second now. It's a trust in the flow of life. It's also what this new beginning is as well. So a shift, see? Trust. What we do know is that this new beginning is an expression of our desire. It wouldn't show up in our life as anything else other than it's a desire, right? It shows up as I feel like I need something new in my life. And we've all felt that before in our lives at one time or other. I need to let something go and I'm ready for something new. And that can show up sometimes, that desire can show up sometimes. And this is the question that we have with some other teachings that we've heard in the past. Is that desire, is that new thing, is it that we have to focus very specifically on this thing? In other words, I'm looking for, I'm going to make something up. I'm looking for a new place, a new house. Reverend Lisa and I are going through this right now. We're looking for a new house, a new place to stay, a new place to live. Is it that we focus specifically on exactly what that house is going to look like? It's got to be 3 bedrooms and 2 baths and an office, and it's got to have, it's got to be in this neighborhood, and it's got to have specific trees in the front yard. Is that the way we go? Or is it something else? Is it a way of being open and flexible with those details of these new beginnings? Is it that we're giving the universe and how these things show up? Are we being flexible with that? Could it be that we were looking for this or something better as well? You see how that's a little bit different approach than being overly specific. And can it be that Goldilocks, just right in the middle approach to this new beginnings and this new desire in our life as well? Could we be specific, but instead of thinking of specific physical attributes, can we be specific about how this thing makes us feel? Right? And you can use your own example, but for me, we're looking for a new place to stay and live. What am I looking for in terms of how does that make, what do I want to feel when I'm in that space? I want to feel safe. What did you say? I want to feel enthusiastic. I want to be able to, when I'm driving back home towards this house, I want to feel excited about pulling into that driveway. So it's more of a quality is what I'm suggesting than anything else. And we explore that. What does that quality denote in our lives? Where does that desire actually take us? Unity author Robert Brummett, who wrote the book Finding Yourself in Transition, tells us, and I'm going to read a quote from him from this book, Finding Yourself in Transition. A new beginning will occur only after we've completed the inner work that is part of the previous stages. And when we are internally ready, we find a way to create that external beginning. So hear that. We do the internal work before the external shows up. Or perhaps we could say that it will find us, the author says. There's a fascinating synchronicity between our inner and outer worlds. New beginnings often occur in unexpected ways. An event that appears to be a mistake or even a breakdown may turn out to bring forth that external new beginning. Wow. Even though it might not seem like that's what I was envisioning, that still might be that step towards the ultimate house. And maybe it's not a house. Maybe it's a townhouse. Maybe it's a condo. I don't know. Maybe it's a hobbit hole that we're going to live in. But I don't know. I haven't talked to you about this yet. How do you feel about round doors inside of a hill? Oh, yeah. No, we got to think about that one. We got to think about that one. So the author tells us that the best approach for this new beginning is, and he kind of gives us a step-by-step on this. He says, in other words, how to start these new beginnings. Be ready. You got to be ready. You envisioned it. You felt a need for it. You let go. You made room for it. You emptied out that closet. You made room for it. Now be ready for the new thing. With a caveat, be ready, but don't be anxious. Easy and breezy. Didn't we just talk about that? Easy and breezy with that. The second thing he talked about was to be alert, but not willful. Be alert of the possibilities that show up in your life. Don't think that it has to be, if you're looking for transportation, it doesn't have to be a red Maserati. Because a blue BMW might show up. I don't know. I'm making this stuff up. Be willing, be open and willing to what the universe may send your way. And then third, he talks about continue to pray, continue to trust that something is on its way. Don't think that it has to show up tomorrow. What if it's Tuesday? Wouldn't the blue Maserati or the blue BMW be okay if it showed up on Thursday? I'd say yeah. Know, and then the last thing the author, Robert Brummett, talks about is know that your life is in divine order. Know that it's coming your way. Just know. So when the author talks about these new beginnings in terms of Old Testament terms, we just brought up Moses, it's as if we're moving into the promised land. That's what new beginnings is. We're moving, and think of the excitement of the Israelites. It's like, man, I've been trudging through this desert for 40 years. When are we going to get there? So, there's the River Jordan. We're crossing over. We're feeling excited, right? Here we go. That's the new beginning. That's what we're talking about, moving into the promised land. It's long past that ending. We've gone through the void and the 40 years. Now the excitement of the promised land. The Israelites left Egypt. This is now that space where they're planting that new seed. They're letting it germinate. And what's going to show up? What's going to be new in their lives? What's going to be awesome in their lives? That's what the new beginnings are. Now we know that from the story in the Bible, Moses died he died out in the desert. Joshua was the new leader that took over the reins of that leadership. Metaphysically, what does that tell us? That we've got to let those old things die sometimes. We have to let them go. It no longer serves us. We have a new leader. Joshua stood at the threshold to become that new leader. He prepared through his entire life. He readied himself. He'd gone through all of the training, everything that he needed to. He was a leader, he was a warrior, he was a man of action, the Bible tells us. Though, again, those are qualities that we can apply in our lives as well. Leadership qualities. Being able to put the next foot forward in that action. So metaphysically, we might see ourselves as that awakened leader, that spiritual warrior in terms of this story as well. That we have done our internal work first, that preparation that Joshua did. That we took the proper steps, we readied ourselves for this next thing coming. And then we boldly step across that threshold, in this case, the River Jordan, into the promised land. Going back to Henry David Thoreau that we opened with a few minutes ago. Let's finish that same idea that he was talking about. So this is the very next line of that quote that we went through. That was a very famous quote, and this is a not so famous finish to that. Henry David Thoreau also says that they, us, apply these words to your life. They will put things behind them. They will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within them. The old laws will be expanded and interpreted in their favor in a more liberal sense, and they will live with the license of a higher order of being. Don't you love the way this guy talks? I just love it. And he's a thinker, and it just makes so much sense. Things will open up for us. The way that we thought things, oh, that's just the way it was, will open up. It'll be more expansive. The possibilities will be there. More liberal ways for this thing to enter into your life. If we trust it, if we know that new beginnings are part of this, and I do, I believe it. So does Henry. So what I hear from Henry, from Thoreau, I should say, I don't know him personally, from Thoreau is that moving beyond our usual expectations, a new beginning is where we get to expand. It's where we get to expand. A new beginning that favors maybe a different way of thinking. We get to explore a different way of approaching this thing. A new beginning where we live in the license of a higher order. I love that phrase. A higher order. This is our promised land as we cross personally our own River Jordan. And we do that together. We do that as a community. We support each other through this process as well. You're not in this alone. We do this hand in hand. Know that I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. I see the divine in each and every one of you. Namaste. Our clock has stopped on the wall back there. I have no idea what time it is. Let's move into meditation. Let's adjust ourselves. You can close your eyes and move within. You can look at our candle on the screen there if you'd like, and focus on that flame of a new beginning as we move within, as we focus on our breath just for a second to release. Because what we're doing is we're gently moving from our head into our heart. We're feeling, we're knowing, we're opening up to the silence during this time. And in that heart space, we know for sure, 100%, that our natural state is one of wisdom, of love. It is that newness of a new beginning, that blessing of a new beginning. And I focus on that spiritual quality in this time. That opens to the next best thing in my life. Living that movement. Being ready to take that next step forward. I bring a consciousness into my life that knows that worldly circumstances do not dictate my reality. Instead, my reality is spiritual. I feel that. I know that. My reality is in that internal awakening of that new beginning. And I know that during this next week, whenever I need a reminder, the simple act of closing my eyes and taking a breath can return me to this awareness. I am spiritual, and I can move beyond this. I know that Divine Spirit is here with me now. That I am never separated from that divine presence. I take another breath and I release a little deeper into this time. As we spend the next minute or two in silence. And as we begin to come out of this silence, we take that breath. We become aware of the room around us. Whenever it's right, you can open your eyes. As we know that we are blessed with the knowledge that we are one. As a community, as a universe, we are one. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Jim. That was a great message. And what a nice way to move into the new year with that energy. We're now moving into the offering part of our service because we know that as we give, so do we receive, and life and energy circulate. And so we want to keep that circulation moving and growing and expanding within our lives and within this spiritual community. And it's through your generous giving that we get to continue bringing our message here. Consistent giving is one of the ways that you really can support Unity of Charlotte, and PayPal is now an option in case you didn't know. We've got lots of ways of giving. I invite you now to join me in our offertory blessing.
Joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
The light of God surrounds us. We are light. The love of God unfolds us. We are love. The power of God protects us. We are power. The presence of God washes over us. We are present. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.